Today, Wuthering has released the new patch, which is a version 3.5, and this 3.5 looking way too much stack compared to the 3.4. Well, 3.4 was also a stack one just because we do get a Cyberpunk collab, which is consist of a Lucia and also the Rebecca. Rebecca was a free one, Lucia is a limited one, and that banner does not even share any of this like a PT to your normal of a Karthetia or any of this like a UK banner. So another original character of a Wuthering roster was also released into that patch, which is the Lucilla, kind of like a sub DPS Glacier support characters. If you do have her, any of this like a DPS character on your existence team or existence account team member will actually going to be helpful way too much. So that's how much of powerful she's actually providing. So basically she's actually best in start for the Hyuki, which is a recent anniversary character, and also holding the powerful DPS position into this current meta. Anyway, that's not the main thing. The main thing is that 3.5 new version also coming along with a new character such as the Yangyang Xuanling. She's actually a awakened version of a 4-star Yangyang. So if you don't know who I'm talking about, all you have to do close up the game and see the games icon. You can even see some of those like a girl's picture and into the games icon. That's the girl that we are actually having an awakened version. So alongside with her, we're also getting a rerun character such as the Luke Hudson having his first rerun, and also another character which is the Lina having his second rerun. So these two characters actually having their own position, but when it comes to the value, I guess Lina is going to be the perfect one since she's a support character, and the amount of like all types of damage bonus is actually providing to the whole over teammate with the 100% uptime. It is no joke. Having her, Lina, and also Morny on your single team member, any DPS can even shine to the corner, and also you can clear any of this like end game mode. That's why Wuthering is having those two teams in your team considered as a wheelchair team member. That's how much powerful this team actually providing to us. Alongside was like these two rerun character, we do have a almost like a 7 or 8 characters coming up, which is a Spectre or something, whatever the thing it is. Anyway, this is kind of like a banner which if you are somehow not even able to get any of those like old characters, I guess you are having a great chance to get all of those characters from here, or if you are for the collection purpose. So this banner is kind of like a similar to what the Wuthering as first anniversary has been providing to us, while we do have a 12 banner, but this banner is actually providing to a normal patches, not even the anniversary patches, to avoid the conflict, or you can say that avoid the controversy from the communities. Anyway, I totally give you a little bit of a rundown what the 3.5 is actually providing, but that's not the main thing. The main thing is that today I'm going to talk about why this like a Yangyang Xuanling is actually having this current position into this current meta, since she also comes from the DPS character, and currently we do have a 2 powerful DPS into this current meta, which is Hyuki and also Amath, which is also the recent Sentinel characters, and these two characters are totally shattering to the each and every meta, and that's why they are considered as the apex tier character. Apex tier character who doesn't even realize the meta, they are the meta creator. We are going to see that why she's actually belong to this current tier list. Is she even a top tier character, or is she even a dog shit character? So for this reason, I'm going to cover the Pride.gg, which is kind of like a very well known for the making this kind of like a tier list of other games. They don't even make tier list for the Wuthering games, they also make tier list for the HSR and also Zenithon Zero, Hover's games, and other alongside with the other 13 popular games. So when it comes to their take, it kind of like creates a controversy for most certain games. So don't even take their takes seriously, take it as a grain of salt. And sometimes based on the review that they actually provide to us into the initial phase, it is going to be the beta testing, and don't even think about the beta testing as a actual of a final review, because beta testing always conduct with a certain amount of player, or when it comes to official launch to a certain characters, that character are going to be hands on to a million players, where they are going to have a higher amount of possibility to see that what kind of formula is going to be the best in sort for that character. So if you are seeing any of this character for the initial phase is going to be the dog shit, that character are going to be have a higher amount of chance into a near future going to be a top tier character with some certain tweaks and buffs and tweaks. That's the main thing. Anyway, I just totally yapped too much, which does not even conclude to anything at all, but let's see why she is actually belong. So as you can see that I'm not going to touch any of those like options that this site is actually providing to me, which is the about tier list, criteria, roles, tags, and etc, because if I just somehow click it, it will actually going to give me a spoiler, which I don't even want, and the whole video point is going to be ruined at all. Anyway, let's see why she is actually belong. For the apex tier character, I cannot even see her, man, why she is. Oh my god, on her initial release she is a tier 0 character. Oh man, we do have a lots of tier 0 character, and those characters are kind of like a very decent, but Amath is the most oldest one for these tier 0 DPS classes. Sigrika was kind of like a bait banner before the Hyukis, but so after so many testing from the community and also so many reviews, she's the best meta defining character that you could even have. But having her is not going to be the solving the problem. You have to get the Qingyuan to make her performing much more better than ever. That's how much powerful these two character can even have if you just somehow have these two character on a single teams. Yangyang, man, oh my god, man, she's actually very much of a good according to the community. Since I already see the community reaction from some certain YouTubers and also some certain Reddit posts, that the amount of buffs and also the amount of debuffs she's actually providing to a certain enemy from herself, not even she really required a certain support characters to make that, it is actually kind of like a phenomenal. And another important part is that she can give herself a 500% crit damage by stacking up. You know what I'm trying to say here. And the damage she's actually providing to a certain enemies and also certain team comps, it is way too much flexible compared to any other DPS character that you can even see here, which I'm going to talk about next into the review section and also team building section. But before that, let's see what kind of tier list already been changes in here. And another important part is that I guess I already heard from the beta testing is that she is a very much of a heavy attack reliant. So the much more heavy attack that she is actually going to gain from support or any of those like a substats, I guess she's also going to be have huge amount of damage output than ever. Another important part is that, oh my god, Rebecca, which is considered as a tier 1 character, now she's considered as a tier 0.5 character. Since she's a free character from the Cyberpunk collab, man, free character actually is better than our limited character, which is a Lucia. Wow, what can I say, man? Lucia should be even higher up into the tier 0, tier 0.5. She's a limited character and also a Cyberpunk collab character. I guess there is some kind of like a rile up between her, which is she really need a huge amount of investment. The investment case that I'm trying to say here, which is going to be the sequence or concentration, whatever you say, that kind of things very much of a highly dependent for the Lucia. If you do have a S1, ST or S3, she will be performing the similar about the Amath and also Hyuki with their single copy of their version. So that's how much of an investment that you have to put on her, which is not even going to be that much of a highly benefited from you to have on your account. If you are a F2P, if you are a whale, then just go for it. Who am I to suggest you to not pulling for her? And since she's also riling up to a tier 1 to tier 0.5, I guess the one reason is that when she's actually deploying her ultimate, she is going to give your whole over team member a good amount of heavy attack. And that's the reason, since the Yangyang Xuanling is also considered as a tier 0 character on her first initial release, Rebecca is also rallying up from the tier 1 to tier 0.5. That's the things that you have to reconsider before just totally pulling for her anyway. And another thing is that all the character are totally remaining to their previous position. I'm not seeing any of this like changes from here and there. So let's see what kind of review they have been providing for her into this current tier list. So for this tier list sections, they have been providing the pros and cons. Pros means what kind of benefit that's just by having her in your team, just by having her on your account. And another thing is that cons, what kind of like a disadvantages that she is actually having her on her kit. Anyway, so for the first point, which is going to be the top tier damage ceiling with a focus on mid-air combat and also animation that are generally hard to interrupt. Oh my god. So as you can see there, Camilla, which is also a kind of rope based character, when she's in a Beyblade spinning, she does have a higher chance of interruptions in between of her Beyblade spinning. And if you just somehow is staggered by the enemies of an attack, I guess your whole over kind of like a chain attack also combo are going to be interrupted and you are going to lose a huge amount of damage. So that's the main thing which she's actually going to be have a benefited from. And since she does not even have that kind of like a things or stagnant from the enemies, I guess this is the first point that you should have to reconsider before just pulling for her. And second point is going to be the excellence is all endgame content, not just a single target bossing. Havoc Bane is applied by herself and very often and constantly spares account in multiple ways. So as I already mentioned before, she's kind of like a personally self debuff character. You know what I'm trying to say. Whenever she's actually dealing with damage, she's going to provide a debuff to a certain enemies, and when the enemy is actually having this kind of like a debuff on that body, all types of havoc damage or all types of damage that are going to be coming from the Yangyang Xuanling is going to be a higher amount of than ever. And this is the another important thing. So she's going to be considered as a solo character, why you don't even need any of this like a support or debuff character, which is the main thing that you have to do for her. So she kind of like a solo character that they are actually implying. And another important thing is that access all endgame content, since as you can see that she can even be a good character, which is the Tower of Adversity tier 0, whimpering ways to the tier 0, and also all the endgame mode the games are already been existent. She is also considered as a tier 0 character without any kind of questions. For the third point, which is going to be the energy requirement, are super easy to meet. Oh my god. So if the energy requirement is very much of a easy to meet, I guess she's going to be considered as the ultimate maniac or ultimate machine. You don't even have to use any of this like energy for the 3-cost orb or 3-cost like a eco set. Man, you could just totally build her with a normal of a attack and also the elemental damage orb system with a normal DPS build. That's the simple thing that you have to follow, man. For the next point, which is going to has a ton of accessible team composition, F2P10 and premium alike F2P family, while also being improvable or for cheap. Likely some of those like premium characters are already present on your account as well. As so the main thing that they are actually trying to give us is that she's actually going to be very much good for the F2P team members, or if you don't even have that much of a premium or 5-star support characters, I guess she's also going to be the excel just because of having the Rebecca on your team. That's the thing. So the team building session is going to be Yangyang Xuanling, Rebecca, and also the sustained character such as the what's the name again, Shorekeeper or Varina. That's the thing are going to be very much of a good option for you, which is a hugely, or you can say the highly accessible any of those players that could even have. But if you're a new player who totally misses Cyberpunk collab, I guess this is kind of like a way too much vague things that you have to reconsider, since you cannot even get the access of Rebecca and you have to wait for the another announcement for the WUWA developers to see that when the Rebecca and also the Lucia banner are going to be rerun, or whoever Cyberpunk collab are going to be rerun, you have to wait for that. But since this kind of like a second phase are going to be happen, I guess in that time this character won't be there, or some other character are going to be dethroned to her. Okay, for the next point, which is going to be has a short rotation compared to the most main DPS, is still dealing ludicrous amount of damage. Oh my god. So as you can see that the amount of like a rotation that they are actually trying to implement in here. So the top two DPS character which I already mentioned in here, which is first one going to be the Amath and second one is going to be the Hyuki. Hyuki and Amath, these two characters really require a huge amount of rotation based types of things. If you don't do the rotation perfectly, Hyuki doesn't even get the whole amount of damage buff, and when she is actually on field and doing the whole damage and also other basic charge attack, skill attack, ultimate attack, all the things are not going to be doing their best output damage. So the rotation might need to be perfect, and rotation has to be the most of the cleanest one into this like a recent top tier DPS character. For these characters, I guess you don't even have to follow all of those things, because as her own debuff mechanics on her kit, I guess you don't even have to deploy any of those like support characters to do the work what she's actually can doing by herself. Okay, for the last one, which is going to be the look like a Selena from the Punishing Gate event and Will like Selena from the Punishing Gate event, as well as, oh my god, that's the last point. It is just not even relevant to this current topic. The main thing that they are actually trying to say here, this character is very much of a similar for the PGR. PGR is also from the WUWA, or you can say the Kuro games of a previous project. This is similar to the HI3 but better than the HI3 in every senses. The combat mechanism is kind of like a unique. If you haven't even played out, I would suggest you to play it out, since I do have a experience on that game, since I was a day one player into that game when it was having the release in 2021 of a June month of a global release. Okay, anyway, that's all for the pros, and let's move on to the cons. So for the cons, self-buff kit starts by so much that the Shorekeeper is rendered practically useless. She is hence more limited in premium third slot options than most Morny with only Ninai or Chisa. So are you only upgrade paths from Varina? So the point that they are actually trying to implement in here, so the amount of kit I guess she's actually providing on herself is going to be way too much that you don't even need the Shorekeepers. If you do somehow able to use the Shorekeeper on her team, I guess you are going to be overcapped with kit, which is not going to be valuable for you, which the over kit you can even totally use on your another characters or another teammate where you are struggling to clear the end game mode. That's the thing that they are actually trying to put it into a con section, but I'm not seeing a con section. It is kind of like a good things, because your Shorekeeper are actually free, and Varina, which doesn't even provide any of this like kit, she's only very much of a best resort for giving you a huge amount of attack and also other things, and her passive is also going to give you a one-shot resistance, but only for one times. So that's the thing for the first point. Let's move on to the second point, which is somewhat limited in swap cancelling. Currently plays best with the outro buffers. Her damage is spread way across her rotation, preventing buffing capabilities, and a lot of her self buffs only apply if she is active on the field. So the main thing that the last point of the cons is actually trying to implement in here is that the amount of debuff she is actually providing into that enemy is only going to be applicable if she is on the field. That's the main thing. If she is not even on the field, then I guess no other character can even do what she is actually going to do. That's the main thing. And another important thing is that this is not even a cons, and this is the first time that I'm seeing a cons is not even that much of a concerning to see that, and it is way too much lower compared to the any other characters have their cons into the review section. So I guess after reviewing the whole things, all I wanted to say is that she's a must-pull character and you have to get her without any kind of questions. Anyway, that's all for this like a review section. Let's move to the gameplay section. So for the gameplay section, they already provided that she's also going to be having a best in shot for the Lina, Rebecca, Frolova, and also Mortifi. Mortifi can give you a basic attack damage, but when it comes to the heavy attack, this guy doesn't even give you. Best in slot in my opinion would be none other than the Rebecca. Rebecca is also going to be the best in slot for her even to this day, because the amount of heavy attack she's actually providing by using the ultimate, which does not even require that much of a highly energy as required by the Yangyang Xuanling. So I guess this is the best character you can even have, since she's also a free character if you're just somehow able to log in into Cyberpunk. And another thing is that this is third slot sustain characters, so they are already mentioning that Chisa and Morni and Varina are going to be the best in slot options. But if you do have the Hyuki team, which is Chisa also required, and also Morni team, which is also considered of Elena and Morni, and that team is already been stacked, I guess you already been have a leave of a option of a Varina, since Shorekeeper kit can even overcap to the Xuanling's rollover stats. I guess using the Varina is going to be the best in slot options for your case. So that's all for this like a gameplay and also teams. I guess there is nothing to be seeing in here. I'm not seeing any of this like character has been changed from the previous position, but the one thing is for sure, I'm way too much disappointed on the Lucy, which is a limited character from the Cyberpunk collab, and the amount of investment she required to make the similar performance with the base copy of the Amata and also Yuki, it is not even going to be worth it to you. But if you are one of those guys who really think that the limited character are not even going to be rerun for a long time, so you have to make them with the E6 for the collection purpose, for the gimmick purpose, I guess you guys just totally go for it. So I guess that's all for this like a tier list. I'm not seeing any of this like a massive changes from here and there. All I'm seeing is a Yangyang Xuanling is having her as the initial position tier 0, and also Rebecca just totally going to up tier 1 to tier 0.5. That's the whole of our things. If you really want to pull for her, I guess this is the best time to pull for her, since she does not even require that much of a partner, because this game currently do have the kind of like a situation to make a certain DPS with a certain partner. So if I just give you an example, Amath is going to be the best in slot for the Denia. Without Denia and also the Nina Morni combo, Amath is going to be the dog shit. For the Yuki, she really does require the Lucilla and also the Chisa. Without these two characters, I get this character going to be the dog shit, as well as such as our first energy character, which is a Zani. She is also going to be the best in slot partner for our Phoebe. Without these two characters, I guess Zani is not even going to be added any kind of value to your accounts. I have no idea why they are just totally placing Zani into a 1.5 or tier 1.5. Zani, even to this day, after 1 year later, she's totally going to be the most powerful character that you can even have. All you have to do is spend a bunch of like a pulls on the signature weapon for the Zani and also Phoebe signature weapon, and if you just have some kind of like a good constellation on her, I guess you are going to be rewarded much more further than ever. Okay, I guess that's all for this like a review section. I guess there's nothing to be discussed anymore. If you really like it, leave a like. If you do have any of this like question and also positioning her onto this like a initial phase, you can totally let me know in the comment section. So see you on the next video. Peace.